Hey everybody, Ben here from Cinder Block Studios, and today we're painting these Whispy Clouds. So I think it was actually before I even moved that somebody requested me doing a tutorial on painting Whispy Clouds. And first I put it off, and then I tried it and it didn't work, and then I tried it again and it still didn't work. So I had to really kind of think about how I paint Whispy Clouds and how I could teach you guys to paint them too. So what I realized I had to do in order to get this tutorial to work was to do it a little bit old school style. To paint on an easel, which I don't usually do, keep the camera off to my left, and do everything for the most part in real time. Because painting Whispy Clouds, at least the way I do it, has to be done all at once, I couldn't really stop and narrate and say this is what I'm doing, and then stop again and say here and these are some tips. I have to do it all at once and quickly. So here's just sort of what I'm going to be doing here today. So I have my canvas set up, stapled onto a piece of particle board, and so it sort of mimics the idea of a canvas board. Normally when I do a tutorial, you'll see sort of a palette cam off to the corner. I'm not showing my palette today because I'm only using two colors, cobalt blue and titanium white, and you'll kind of see me reach down for that paint periodically throughout the course of the video. You'll also want either a flat or a bright brush, as well as a mop. Now you don't necessarily have to have a mop brush. You can also use a really soft fan brush, tends to work really well, or just really any kind of larger soft brush. Now again, I have to explain some stuff now. So the concept of what I'll be doing today is painting a simple blue sky. Now you can find a link to that in the description box below, and that's just a sort of more simple, basic, lay down some blue, lay down some white, kind of blend them together. Again, I already have a tutorial on it, so check that out first to kind of get the basis. Granted, if you already are good with blue skies, you're able to jump in pretty quick. Now, once your sky is established, you got to work while stuff is still wet, and that's sort of the key of this tutorial. So while it's still wet, I'm going to add in some extra little blobs of white and then blend those out, and that's really all it takes to do this. But again, I can't really talk in that tutorial section, so here it is. Hopefully you guys can follow along. So as I mentioned before, just starting out with a blue sky. So I'm mixing up a light blue color. And this A-frame is going to wobble a little bit, so I do apologize for that. But I sort of wanted to be vertical for this since I'm working a little more larger scale. More water. Keep things fluid. Blue. Seriously. Don't break another one. There it goes. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. Thin right here, I gotta get that in there. Okay, rinse the brush. Tap off the extra water. I'll just go in our blend. Okay, so we have a couple little areas now. We can kind of start to see some, and you can absolutely develop those into little wisps, but we're just going to flatten it out for the today and add them in separately. Okay, so wispies, little thin areas of clouds. Let's drop them in. wipe off the excess paint on my pants or a rag, and then lightly blend them out. Now this brush is pretty heavy-handed. I'm actually going to grab some more blue in here and darken this. So we're going to take the whole sky, make it a little darker. Starting to dry. A little spray. So now, a lot darker on that blue. We're still wet, we're still fluid, we can still move the paint around. And we're just going to get a little here, a little here, here, one here, there, there, here, 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 a whole bunch of them in there, why not? Okay, wipe off the excess paint, and then you can kind of do whatever you want here, just side to side, lift and fluff the way Bob Ross used to teach it, like that. You can kind of blend it out with crisscross strokes. Oh, they all kind of create different little shapes. But again, like what I like to do is to use a mop brush and just kind of really hold back. Whoa, hello! Hold back real far on the handle of the brush and very lightly just do those little crisscross strokes. And in doing so, you create the softest, most subtle variations. And the darker, the more white you had there, the more it'll show up. And they just get super, super soft. Like so. Little wispy clouds. Simple. I'm going to put some more in here actually. Put a real big one here. Kind of cutting across. Yeah, let's get some big fat ones in there. And I'm not even rinsing this. It's really important that your mop stays soft and dry in order for this to work. And as long as your paint's still wet, you can really kind of push them in whatever direction you want. May have used too much paint here, so just pull it out. And at this point, you definitely don't want to be adding more water. You want to keep it relatively dry. You just got to be able to make those decisions super, super fast. And plan ahead. Definitely plan ahead. Alright, so as a quick recap, everything starts with a blue sky. Everything. Or whatever color your sky is. Maybe you're making a yellow sky, maybe you're making a red sky. The whole point in doing these thin wispy clouds, anything that kind of really fades in to your sky, is to do everything while it's wet. Because once it's dry, it becomes a heck of a lot harder. Now I talk about on the channel all the time about how acrylics are all about layers, and they are. But if you're doing stuff like this, you have a really limited working time, and you really have to be able to do it just that fast. Which is again why this tutorial had to be so differently formatted, because it was just like go, 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 go. Because if you wait and let it dry, like at this point, by the time I put those bigger blobs of the paint on and started blending those out, that paint was at this point a little too dry to work with. So if you're painting thin wispy clouds, do it quick. And make sure you kind of plan it out ahead of time, know what you're doing, practice on the side before you take it to your canvas. Because once you do a layer, and if you screw it up, then you got to completely repaint your sky. So do it fast, but do it efficiently, and know what you're doing going in, so you can make better clouds in the long run. Okay, so I know I'm usually doing much longer form tutorials, but one, some people like quick stuff, and two, again, this had to be fast in order to show it correctly. Hopefully you caught sort of everything I was trying to say. If not, feel free to go back, take a second watch, or even just ask me what's going on in comments. As always, if you learned something, hit the like button, consider supporting me on Patreon, subscribe if you're not already, and this has been Snipit Studios. See you guys next time. Probably not a good idea to get using all of this water on my electrical equipment. Right on top of that. Yeah, that's brilliant.